Hi, it's Sally-Shakti, and this is your tarot and astrology reading for your writing week ahead for the week of Monday, the 20th of February to Sunday, the 26th of February, 2023. The biggest energy of this week astrologically for me is this new moon in Pisces, which is happening today, happened this morning. My time here in the British Isles. And so we have the sun and the moon in Pisces for the first half of this week, and then the moon moves through into Aries and Taurus, and finally into Gemini just on Sunday afternoon. So this is a strong Pisces energy. The moon, the new moon this morning was at 1 degree of Pisces, which is a point that Saturn will move across 3 times this year, helping us to manifest the deeper visions, the higher calling that Pisces is inspiring in us through this season. We may feel or find that we have a stronger creative vision, or even a new, different, more vibrant, more passionate, more aligned creative vision coming through. Pisces, with the sun and the moon both in Pisces, is opening our hearts to receive messages from our higher self, our soul, our calling, for what we're really ready to manifest in this coming time. And we have the energy of Saturn to support us with that manifestation. Pisces, both the sun and the moon in Pisces, is also the end of a zodiac cycle, the completion of 1 year, 1 year's revolution of the whole zodiac, the sun and the moon in relationship with the stars and the earth. And so this energy might also be calling us to release, to let go of something or some things, so that we can open the space to receive what is new and what is coming through for us in this next cycle of the seasons through the zodiac. And that made me bring up all kinds of feelings of anxiety, tension, stress, uncertainty. Pisces is certainly a time for leaning into that uncertainty, leaning into the void, going beyond ourselves and our limited understanding, and allowing ourselves to open to a bigger vision, a higher calling, listening to the voices of our spirit guides and our ancestors, and really allowing ourselves to receive what is wanting to come through for us right now and to become manifest throughout this season of the cycles. What creative projects in our writing or in our lives might we be bringing into fruition in this cycle? And we can go higher with Pisces. We can reach into that sense of greater connection, sense of connection with the whole beyond the limitations of the self. And we may also find that we need to stay grounded to balance that. And the opposite sign of Pisces is Virgo. So if you're finding yourself too far spun out, or too much in your head, too much in the uncertainty, or in the void, it's great to be in the void, to open and listen and receive creative vision. But when we stay in the void, then we're unable to bring that creative vision into form. So, writing for me is a powerful process and practice that that gives me a sense of how it feels to pull down ideas, words, language, to create something out of the void, out of the formless, and for it to become manifest on the page. Many of us start a writing project with the idea that we want it to be perfect, or we want it to be something specific that we have an idea for. And we maybe want to have control over the outcome. But typically, I find the more that I want to control the outcome, the less actual words I can put on the page, because they're never the right words. They're never quite enough. They never quite say what I wanted them to say. And so what I've learned over many years of my own writing practice is to put the words down on the page and see what they form, see what I create, see what I end up with, and then to use that and shape that, to shape the words that I get, rather than to try to control the words that I put down. And this for me is an exercise of bringing the form into bringing void into form, bringing ideas, inspiration, what Ernst Bloch called the not yet conscious, the not yet become, into being. And as writers, we do that through our words. We do that on the page. And the way to do that is to get the words on the page, knowing that bringing anything into form, the act of bringing anything into form, is bringing it into a limited state. In order to have form, form is shape. In order to have shape, we need boundaries, we need outlines, we need edges, we need light and shadow. There needs to be a container. So once any life energy is given a container through our creative practice, through our ritual intervention, whether that's writing, whether that's becoming a human being, whether that is any other form of creative practice that we are undertaking, we must, in order to manifest on this earth, in this 3D reality, in this realm, we must take form. We must come into form. We must come into a body, or we must put our words onto the page. There must be a container for that life force energy, otherwise it will dissipate into the void, which is where it comes from and where it ultimately returns, and that is Pisces. But we also want to give it form, to bring it into the world. And we do that in our writing practice, and we do that in our daily living and our becoming and our ritual interventions with the world. And so we can bring in the opposite energy of Virgo to help us stay grounded. Pisces also governs the energy of the feet and the lower legs, so that helps us also to keep our feet on the ground whilst we're more open and receptive to the liminality of the void. But we can call in the energy of Virgo to also help us to stay in our bodies and to discern Virgo is discernment, and it's about boundaries, it's about form, it's about giving shape to what comes through. So Virgo can help us to discern the merits of our creative practices and projects, the the process of editing, what gets to stay and what needs to go. That maybe that's in our lives or in our writing. Virgo can support us with that clarity and with that clear discernment. And so I'm I'm surrounded by tarot cards here that have been falling out whilst I've been speaking and preparing for this session. Tarot card, the tarot deck I'm using today is the Visionary Path Tarot by Lucy Delics. This was the first tarot deck I bought, and the cards are a little bit big. Actually, they're a little bit tricky to manipulate, which is why I think so many of them fall out whilst I'm shuffling. But I always trust that they have a message to tell me. And here comes another one. It's just so many of them. What I was looking at just now is that one of the cards from today is the Queen of Swords, and that's that energy that I associate with Virgo, this energy of discernment, especially when it comes to clarity of the mind and being able to cut through the bullshit, to edit, to clarify, and to be clear about what needs to be cut, what needs to stay, and what needs to go. So again, that can apply to both our lives and our writing projects, our writing practices. There's a strong invitation this week to get clear about our writing projects and practices, and also to take action. Venus, who I also associate with that energy of Virgo, has also just moved into Aries at the same time as the new moon. So she's inviting us into action. She's inviting us into clarity. So we have this dual invitation this week to open ourselves to the liminality of the void and receive guidance, inspiration, perhaps new insights into our creative projects and our creative being and becoming in this world. And also to take action, to put the words on the page, to manifest something into form, and then to see what it is and work with it, shape it, forge it, like Bridget in this season of Imbolc, like Bridget forging the sword in the like Bridget forging, like Bridget being the goddess of smithcraft, as a form of alchemy. So we shape what we have, we put it down, we call in from the void, we open ourselves up to listening through our writing practice. We put those words on the page, and we trust. We trust what's coming. We trust that what's coming is what is right to come at this time. We can have a strong sense of not being good enough, self-judgment, self-criticism, the inner critic, the inner editor. And that can be a shadow side of Virgo. But in this Pisces season, we can open ourselves to trust. We can open ourselves to trust what's coming through and keep putting the words down on the page in that trust. And then when we've got the words and we've called them in, we've opened ourselves to receive in our hearts, and then we've opened from our hearts, and then through our hands we get the words onto the page, or even through our voices we might even be speaking our words onto the page. But through our hearts we call in from the void, and then we manifest into being, into form. And so we put the words on the page and we trust them, and then later we look at them and we discern, and we might cut or edit or shape or prune or refine or revise. But we trust first, and then we discern. That's the energy for me of this new moon, this very strong Pisces energy where we can call in the support of Virgo. We trust, we listen, we put the words down, and then we discern and we refine. And in our creative lives, we might be also experiencing a similar invitation to trust, to listen, to trust, to take action, and to discern. One practice that I've been exploring recently in my writing is the practice of writing myself into a situation. If there's a situation that I feel uncertain about, if I'm moving into uncertainty, then I might try an experiment in writing myself into that situation. Came about from writing a short bio for a piece of work that I was doing. And as I wrote that bio, and as I wrote myself into a certain shape of reality, I felt very different. I felt a lot more alive and energized and aligned with that reality than I had done before I'd written the biography, before I'd written my own sort of third person biography. I wasn't sure about the path I was taking. I was uncertain. I started this practice of writing myself into being and had a lot more clarity and a lot more energy, a lot more trust and a lot more certainty for the direction that I'm moving in. So that's an invitation for you in this Pisces new moon week, in this Pisces energy. So some of the other cards that have been showing up for us in this practice today is one of the first cards that came through whilst I was speaking was the Two of Wands. So again, that came up just as I was speaking about balance, about balancing between the invitation to manifest from the void, to listen and to call in and to open ourselves to inspiration, and to bring that inspiration into form through taking action and then moving into discernment. So Two of Wands, again, it's about balancing out inner fire and our inner creativity. How can we keep that inner fire burning as we come into balance in this week through opening ourselves to the inspiration that wants to come in and not being so stuck in the void that we forget to take action. So we balance that inspiration with action, and then we move into discernment to curate and cultivate what we've created. Another that came just the most recent one was the Seven of Cups. So Seven of Cups, again, is that energy of uncertainty, but it's also the energy of it's an energy of going within, listening within. So we have this energy very strongly this week of inner listening, so that we can really connect in with what our hearts and souls are telling us, teaching us, showing us, guiding us towards. And that we can use practices like writing our own third person biography or writing ourselves into a situation to see how that feels for us. One thing that is true for me is that I'm quite clairsentient, and I tend to learn by doing. Although I am and have been in the past highly intellectual, a lot in my head. I have a lot of air and water in my chart. I've spent a lot of time in formal education, both as student and teacher, and going through university to get degrees and a PhD. But ultimately, I learn by doing. I don't learn by intellectualizing or figuring things out in advance. I learn by doing, because my body gives me the signals that I need through my own biofeedback about what is happening in a situation for me, whether this is right or wrong, whether it resonates, how I'm feeling in response to how I'm feeling somatically in response to what I'm doing. And so my invitation to myself and to you, if this resonates, is that perhaps this practice of writing oneself into a situation, writing oneself into being, can be a support for that process, can perhaps help me to discern how I feel about a situation that I'm moving into before I move into it, without the over intellectualizing or trying to figure things out in advance, but actually to give myself this somatic experience of that situation through my writing practice that will enable me to discern in advance whether this is the right or wrong decision to make. So that's a practice that I would encourage and invite, especially this week, and through Pisces season, to test the waters, if you like, through a writing practice that opens up to inspiration and brings a new reality onto the page so that we can then discern through our own somatic sensation the truth of that situation in our lives. So I'm aware that I'm very Pisces in the way that I'm speaking today. This Pisces energy, it feels very, very strong for me. I do have a lot of water signs, a lot of water in my astrological chart, and this Pisces is really calling me to a much higher openness, and I am finding it a lot more difficult to be grounded and to stay in my body. So those are some of the practices that I will also be moving with through this week and through this Pisces season. Hope you find this helpful, and thanks for being here. You can check out other things I do at writingandthriving.com and on Facebook and Instagram at Writing Thriving. I'm Sally-Shakti, sending you lots of love.